still a certain element, very few, but it only needs very few, 40 or 50 of them, who seem to be on all these trips, seem to be well funded and seem to be intent on causing trouble.
Who's to blame for that?
Well, the sports minister's arriving any minute. You should ask him.
Do you think he's got a lot to answer for?
I think
you don't have to.
I think the government have. Yeah, I'll answer it. I'll answer it publicly. I think the government have an awful lot to answer for because they refuse to accept any responsibility that football was part of their problem. They refuse to accept it as part of the law and order ticket on which they got elected. And they have now accepted it, but too late.
As Bob Harris's fellow journalist Tony Quested had suggested on Sardinia, this was developing into an international game of saving England's face abroad. And the stakes were high. As one little Englishman arrived in Italy, many more big ones were being flown out. There were rumours going around Bologna that a significant number of deportees had been innocent bystanders. It was also rumoured that the plane had been chartered 3 days before. Whatever, about 246 seats were occupied by a seemingly convenient complement of 246 people. At the stadium that night, there were a lot of people looking around to see if anyone they knew had taken an early bath. Post-riot security had reached alarming proportions. Over 2,000 Carabinieri had been drafted in for the match. On the field, it was a promising lineup. The sweeper system had been reinstated, and apart from McMahon, it was the same side that played the Dutch. Belgium were never, ever going to be any kind of pushover. They were an intelligent side, with bags of experience and talented World Cup players such as Keulemans and Schifo. I'd put it to Robson on Sardinia with stunning accuracy that the Belgians were going to be a tough nut to crack. And indeed they were. With Belgium hitting the woodwork twice, it was a tense affair. Before the half-time stripper had a chance to show what he was made of, it was back to a tight contest. Belgium picked up the second half where they had left off and were getting well on top. Gascoigne pulled us back into the game, working like a Trojan, always creating, and again showing some lovely touches. Bull had gone on for a groin-strained Barnes, and with 20 minutes remaining, Platt replaced McMahon. And as knackeredness crept into a relentless battle, this was getting tougher and tougher. An overworked Gascoigne managed to get himself booked before the end of the 90 minutes, but it remained 0-0. With another 30 minutes to endure, I feared the worst. To be honest, this ding-donger could have gone either way. But in the very last minute, with a penalty shootout looming, Gascoigne floated the perfect ball over the Belgian wall, where David Platt became Roy of the Rovers. We were in the World Cup quarter-finals. After the game, I headed into nearby Rimini. The last-minute victory over Belgium was trying hard to erase the bitterness and confusion of the violence and deportation. It was becoming obvious that there was much more to this than met the eye, and the more I heard, the more ridiculous it all seemed.
We walked down to this boozer, and there was loads of Italian police outside. They come up to us and said to me and him could pass as Italians. He said, "Are you Italian?" Get back there. We said, "No, we're English." They said, "Oh, you're English? Step this way." And they walked us down to here, and there were 6 of us. And we walked down here, and they put us into a van and took us to the station. Now, of the 6 people they put in, 2 people were on an 1830s holiday, and 2 people were South Africans. And the 2 people we were with, they were on an 1830s holiday. We've got all their luggage there. We got to the police station and climbed over a barbed wire fence, and we're still here. Otherwise, we would now be back home. I hope you listen to this. You are a rat, you are a traitor, you should be hung. You should be hung, Moynihan. I agree. Hung, definitely. I wish you would come to this bar now and tell us people who you are. You wouldn't walk out of here alive. You're a traitor, Moynihan. There's not many men of violence here, but we'd like to talk to you. That's all we can say, because you should be hung for treason, if nothing else. Lord, do you know what Moynihan is known as by the England supporters? Lord Ho-Ho. He was a traitor as well, wasn't he? Moynihan, Lord Ho-Ho. You've left us in the lurch. We've been spat on, and you've left us. Lord left us alone. And William Joyce, you're meant to protect our interests, and you've done nothing but make them worse.
I've no way of explaining this. I was tired and pissed. Riots, deportations, Carabinieri, England in the quarter-finals. After 3 pints of Malibu and blackcurrant, it seemed somehow essential that I compose a late-night ode to the Wolverhampton Wanderers centre-forward, Steve Bull.
What's that, a final ticket?
To be a football fan in Rimini, then, was the ultimate in paranoia. But no one here gave a toss. We'd been abandoned in Sardinia, betrayed by Bologna. The thugs had handed the authorities and the tabloid press English football on a plate. By Rimini, innocence was immaterial. The plane home had been filled and the example had been set. I took refuge and lunch in the company of the Minetti family.
I'm saying is that the British football clubs, the FA and people like that, should discriminate before they come abroad. They should get into a position, not where, like the Irish and the Scottish, people come aboard, families or whatever they are, they bring their customs with them. It's not that the Scottish left their rituals at home. They had their kilts on, they had the old hats with the 2 feathers in them, the tartan. They got pissed up, they did everything they wanted to, they did it within a context. What I'm saying is that the 30-odd guys who maybe were the provokers in the Rose and Crown, right, shouldn't have got here in the first place. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's true.
They shouldn't be here in the first place, because to me, the owner of the Rose and Crown, as far as I'm concerned, they were ready already. They knew what they wanted to do.